We are ranking NFL MVPs. We're also going to give some money to somebody who comments on this video. Details are coming on that right after the intro. Hit it, Casey.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is the Triple Cross Podcast, the sports show where we give away money and swag and stuff like that, memorabilia, to people who comment. You got to comment on the video. That's it. Just comment on this video or really any of our videos. We pick people every week. We're going to pick people with our live. There are people watching us live right now on playback. There are, yeah. Like in I mean, I was mainly just talking about like your significant other. She's watching. She's very supportive. She's watching you right from the corner.
She's around. She's
just lurking. She's lurking. What up, Megan? Shout out, Megan. No, you just got to comment on the video or really any of our videos. We're going to pick winners every week from the comments, just from comments that we like. Also, when we put out shorts, things like that, we usually put some way to win, or we're going to be putting some way to win money in the shorts. And when people win money, it's a party. Because Casey did. Yeah, there we go. It's a party. Casey, we're gonna rank some MVPs today. You ready to get into that?
I'm so ready, John.
Let me just lay out the parameters here. So we're doing the last 10 individual MVPs because people have won multiple. That takes us all the way back to 2003. So we're doing the last 20 years worth of MVPs, which feels about right because more than 20 years, it starts to get like it was a whole different kind of game, you know?
I agree. Yeah,
right.
This is going to span back quite a few years, and we're going to have to make some tough decisions.
Yes. All right. Can you
We're
pull
just
up
the men to do it. What is our criteria? I don't know.
Whatever we want. We get to make it up.
Make it up.
All right.
Shout out to Hannah Banana. Hope you had a Merry Christmas too.
Hannah Banana, thanks for being here. Can you pull up our list here, and we can show everybody whom? I don't know which one you use. I just kind of fill it out, you know.
I say womb. I pronounce womb. I don't want to offend anybody, so
yeah. So I just when I come up to it, I fill it out. I think if you don't know, you're supposed to just say who, and you're covered, but that feels so unsophisticated. So whom is on the list is Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Adrian Peterson, Tom Brady, Steve McNair, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, LaDainian Tomlinson, Shaun Alexander. All right, Casey, I actually have a good way for us to just start here. We're going to start with like just a little speed round, gut check, vibe round. I'm going to go through all of these guys, and you're going to just tell me whether you think they're like top, middle, or bottom, and then we're going to put them in like that. So, for example, I think, let me start with
we're getting into sexual preferences.
Yeah. Which one? Where do you think they like to be? Middle. What's middle?
You tell me. You're the one who said it.
Like, I like to be a middle. You know, I'm not a top or a bottom. I'm a middle. All right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're both. One size fits all.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like maybe it just means that, you know, you prefer positions where there's not a top or a bottom.
There you go.
Prefer side by side stuff, standing, you know?
There it is. Neutral position. Fight.
You like neutral position.
Stand him up. It's getting too boring laying down. All right. Moving along.
Yeah, I mean, when you're laying down, somebody's always resting. That's not fair. All right.
Definitely not fair.
So we're going to this is how that will work. So like, let's say I said Shaun Alexander and you were like, he's toward the top. Then I would just put him in the one spot and we'd go to LT and we're going to get them into the list that way. Then we'll move them around. Does that feel good? Does it feel good to put? You think it feels good to put things into the top?
On the whole, it feels pretty great. Yeah.
All right. Shaun Alexander, what's your initial vibe on him? Top, middle, bottom?
Shaun Alexander's got to be towards the bottom, I would think.
Okay.
He's going into
I agree with that. He's going into the 10 spot, and then we are going to gray out his cell or delete his cell. All right. LaDainian Tomlinson.
That sounds so much darker than it actually. We're going to delete this man from.
We're going to delete his cell. All of his cells, all the mitochondria, everything.
Yes.
LaDainian Tomlinson, where do you think he top, middle, bottom? What are you feeling?
Got to be at least middle, maybe top, maybe like the 4. I don't know. I'm breaking the exercise already, but yeah, somewhere in there.
He feels middle to me, right? Yeah, I agree. Matt Ryan, This one's obvious to me, but what are you feeling on this?
Feels more bottom.
Feels like a bottom. Yep. All right. Cam Newton.
To say he feels like a bottom, we're getting ridiculous out here.
What I meant to say was I like to feel his bottom.
There we go. Thank you for correcting that.
Yeah. Cam Newton.
It's been a real gay episode. I'm just going to say it out loud, all right?
Cam Newton's another bottom, isn't he?
Cam Newton is, I mean, he's in the gap.
His MVP year was good. But,
for sure. But
that's not the only
I don't
criteria.
want him above LT on this list. So, like, I guess bottom for now. I mean, we're obviously coming back through here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're cruising on this. We're going to have all day to sit and marinate on this at this point.
Right.
So.
All right. Steve McNair.
I mean, I love Steve McNair, but no.
Yeah. He's a bottom as well.
If everybody else is a bottom, he's asexual, you know? Like
he's yeah. Here's the thing. Steve McNair won one MVP ever, and it was a half of an MVP. He split it with Peyton Manning. He won a half of an MVP.
Pretty brutal.
I mean, he's got to be toward the absolute bottom. All right, now we're getting into the tops and middles now. Tom Brady. That feels like a top to me.
Near the top, yeah.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson. He feels similar to LT to me. What are you thinking?
Yeah. They're both all-time running backs.
Okay.
No questions asked.
Pat Mahomes.
So I think for this, the only way we can compare him is if we sort of project what the rest of his career looks like.
He's the first person we've come to who's not done playing football.
Yeah.
These last three guys aren't done playing football.
Three. Mahomes is near the top, probably.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, the devil's in the details here on this one.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson.
We're going to revisit the order here. So
yes,
Lamar Jackson gotta be towards the middle. Okay. I'll say
Aaron Rodgers.
And I mean, it just feels right to put Aaron Rodgers in that gap that's there for now.
Yep. All right. So here's what we have after our initial run of our speed round.
Very colorful.
Our top
Google sheets.
We figured out who's into the top, who's middles, and who's bottoms. Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, very clear tops. They love the top. The middles, Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson, Lamar Jackson, all the runners in the middle. Maybe that's what being a middle means. It means you're just mobile, like to move around a lot. And then the bottoms are Steve McNair,
Cam
Newton.
Gap, maybe.
You're like, yeah,
you're hitting the hole hard.
You're versatile. You like to hit the hole. Steve McNair, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Shaun Alexander. I hope no kids are watching this video. I'm gonna be honest. Or they don't understand what we're saying. That's the other thing.
I'm gonna be dishonest and say I hope no kids are watching this video too. No, I don't know.
You're like, I hope they are. They need to hear this, John. This is important stuff.
This is stuff you won't hear on MSNBC. All right, so you're watching, and they're either watching Triple Cross Podcast
or MSNBC.
MSNBC.
Those are the two options. Yeah. So, speaking of children, I have kids, and watching football on Christmas, Nickelodeon showed like some football games. They showed the Chiefs Raiders game.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was perfect for kids because the announcers explained a ton more stuff. So okay, so he has to try to pass here because it's too far for them to be able to run. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is like all the stuff that when my kids are asking me questions, I'm like, shut up, I'm trying to watch football. So it was nice. It was nice. They actually could watch and get stuff explained to them. Also, there was ooze. So they, makes them.
They call it slime. They call it slime. Never called it ooze. Not a Nickelodeon kid at all. I can tell.
Okay.
Yeah. There was slime. Coin.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought it up. There's two sides to that coin because I don't know about you, but when I was of a certain age, I was just into football anyway and would watch it for the game.
My kids aren't of that age yet, though. I mean, my oldest is 7. But
fair.
She's 6.
That's a fair point. But let's not talk about your kids directly.
Yeah.
What it is broadening the audience, which some people are like, that's awesome. As many fans as we can get, the better.
Yeah.
Another way of thinking is the deeper the average fan is into football is a different criteria for how good, the fan base is.
Having young kids has made me realize how hard it is to grasp the game at a certain age. Sure. So I liked it for that because I don't want to explain it while I'm also trying to watch football,
Yeah, because you want to still be able to watch. I get it.
Because I'm trying to watch football. Right. All right. So let's get into this list here. So let's start at the bottom and let's get these four guys sorted out. Shaun Alexander to me feels, let's just start at number 10 here. We have the last four guys are Steve McNair, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, and Shaun Alexander. Let's start at number 10. To me, Shaun Alexander feels higher than Matt Ryan. Does that feel right to you as well? Matt Ryan had a good year in like 2016, but like I actually don't think of Matt Ryan as like a particularly good player. I think of Shaun Alexander as a good player.
I think your argument works better for Shaun Alexander. I think he was more of a one-hit wonder. I mean, we could pull up stats, but I think Matt Ryan has the better career probably than Shaun Alexander does.
Maybe
I mean, keep in mind,
biased.
we grew up near Seattle. So
maybe I'm just biased by the end of his career, but like Matt Ryan to me is like
Matt Ryan probably had a longer career for one, I would assume. He definitely had like he popped off the year that he won MVP, but it was pretty good for a few years in there. You know, the Kyle Shanahan led offense, the Falcons. I mean, after the Falcons, his career is over, right? I mean, the Colts year does not count. It's not a good year. I would put Ryan above Alexander here. I think I would have Alexander in the 10th spot if it were me.
Okay.
But I mean, we can check stats. Do you want to
career
check stats?
Yeah, I got it. So,
okay. Feel free to just
Shaun
share those over too. I mean,
Shaun Alexander rushed for, or he played 8 seasons, 2000 to 2008 is all.
It's pretty short.
Career. I mean, what's long for a running back though? Okay. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry over the course of his career. His MVP year was what, 2005? He rushed for 1,880 yards at 5.1 yards average, like per touch. 370 carries, which over a 16-game season, a lot of touches, and he was very good in that MVP season. 27 touchdowns that year.
The touchdowns are the outlier probably there. A lot of backs hit 1,000 yards rushing and not hit an MVP.
Yeah,
but the touchdowns is huge.
1,880, so closer to 2,000 than 1,000. But
1,008. Wait, say the number again.
1,880 yards.
Okay, gotcha. Closer. That makes more sense now.
Yeah, and 27 TDs. Yeah, but only 8 years. So let's look at Matt Ryan career stats. He played from 2008 to 2022.
What was his career year like? 2016.
2016 was the MVP year. He didn't lead. He led the league in touchdown percentage and yards per attempt at 9.3.
Yeah, this is actually really indicative of a Kyle Shanahan offense. We just talked about Brock Purdy numbers and the kind of stats that he excels at. Same offensive leader here. It was propelled by a couple of backs who were really good too. So he threw
for 4,944 yards, almost 5,000 yards. Never threw for 5,000 in his career. Yeah,
that's nuts though. That's a nutso amount.
38 touchdowns. 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So really solid ratio there. 1.3 is that? Oh, lost it. Have to pull it back up.
I hate it when that happens. By the way, there's only been 15 guys to ever throw 5,000 yards.
Right. Yeah.
So that number is nuts.
1.3 interception percentage. So
how many picks did he have?
7. Only 7 on the season. He had another year where he only threw 38 TDs. He had another year in 2018 where he only threw 7 picks and he had 35 tutties.
I'm saying Matt Ryan had a career on him, while Shaun Alexander had an incredible year. And I don't.
Yeah, I might have some Shaun Alexander bias because he was part of better teams, whereas like the Falcons, even when Matt Ryan was MVP, were like, okay,
they went to the Super Bowl.
Did they?
Yeah, they were. That was the team that they went to the Super Bowl. They collapsed in the second half to the Pats, right? Pats.
All right, we're taking too much time on this one. Matt Ryan ahead of Shaun Alexander.
It's right.
Cam. All right, so let's do this then. Matt Ryan, Cam Newton.
That one's closer. Can we cut to the chase and put Steve McNair below both of them though?
Okay.
Yeah, that's just gonna save time.
Do you?
And honestly, Steve McNair compared to Shaun
Alexander
is.
That's the better comp.
That's a toss-up, probably.
Shaun Alexander.
Actually, you know what? McNair. You made a good case for Shaun Alexander. let's put Steve McNair in the 10 spot. That's the only right move. He barely deserves to be on this list. He only has half of MVP anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't
Yeah,
like that being the sole criteria.
Yeah, nope, that is the
but-
sole criteria. We get to decide what this. There's no one else here, Casey. It's just you and me.
Was the man actually an MVP? He was a
He was
co-MVP.
He was a half an MVP.
That'll earn you the 10 spot. When you're looking to get that air.
Shaun Alexander in the 9. So Matt Ryan, Cam Newton. How are you feeling about this 7-8 matchup here?
This one is crazy tough.
Matt Ryan had
actually.
more of a career, I feel, whereas like I think the story of Cam Newton now in hindsight is that like, oh, Cam Newton had this very disappointing type of career, you know?
Kind of. Matt Ryan definitely kind of aged better to a certain point. You know, obviously again,
Cam Newton
Indianapolis
is the leader in a lot of rushing stats for quarterbacks.
That's the tough spot. So if I'm looking at this, hit me with some stats here. Give me something.
We talked about Matt Ryan. Cam Newton played from 2011 to 2021. Career or what was his MVP year? Was it 2018?
Matt Ryan or Cam Newton's was 2015. Matt Ryan's was 2016. So back to back.
Yeah. He had the same exact touchdown percentage in Cam Newton did in his MVP year as Matt Ryan did, and it's high at 7.1. They both led in that stat. His yards per attempt is lower in his career in his MVP year, 7.8. He threw for fewer touchdowns, 35. He threw more picks, 10. The MVP year, I think, is better for Matt Ryan. So then we got to go to career. Do we value the fact that Cam Newton sort of like became the new, like set so many like quarterback rushing records? I think he leads all time like yards per carry, all time quarterback rushing yards maybe as well.
I don't think I can in this matchup. It feels like Matt Ryan to me. Matt Ryan. So I do have some comparison stuff up now. Matt Ryan, for reference, started 90 more games in his career. That's pretty big. Wins as a starter, he has almost 50 more. Cam Newton only has 75 wins as a starter, and 68 losses as a starter. So he's barely 500. I mean, I guess Matt Ryan's not much better, but a lot more games, 124 and 109 as a starter.
Yeah.
They both have one tie as a starter, by the way. So really
freaking ties, dude.
Matt Ryan has a slightly better 532 winning percentage, while Cam's at 524. I mean, he completed twice as many passes in his career. That's kind of insurmountable in my eyes from the quarterback position. Game-winning drives, Matt Ryan had over double. Cam only had 20 in his career. Matt Ryan had 47. Yards per passing attempt, Matt Ryan's higher, and he threw a lot more attempts.
Yeah.
It feels like Matt Ryan to me. Touchdown to interception.
It does to me as well. Like looking at the MVP year. So the only thing that we could really, the only way that we could justify for Cam Newton would probably be to say, all right, if we look at the MVP year, what happened, and Matt Ryan's was better as a passer, but maybe Cam Newton's, maybe the rushing attempts makes up, like the rushing yards and rushing stuff that he did, makes up for that year, which I was trying to look at. 2015, he rushed for 636 yards on 132 attempts. How many rushing touchdowns? It doesn't say he had any rushing touchdowns. That can't be right. Oh yeah, no, he had 10 rushing touchdowns. So if we look at, I don't think Matt Ryan had any rushing touchdowns. Actually, I can look at that too. Matt Ryan had
some. He probably snuck in some. I mean, in that
Matt
year,
Ryan, 2016, he had 0 rushing touchdowns. Okay, so total touchdowns, Cam Newton threw for 35 and ran for 10. Matt Ryan threw for 38. So I guess the only way you could justify putting Cam Newton higher than Matt Ryan, because I think that Matt Ryan's career is better. The only way you could justify putting him higher is to say, well, his MVP year was better if you include the rushing. I'm with you on Matt Ryan above Cam Newton, though, unless you were convinced by that argument.
It's going to muddy I'm thinking about the precedent it sets, and it's going to muddy the waters a ton if we set that as the precedent, I think.
Yeah, well, because
we're now like Lamar Jackson is going to.
Now we have to compare Lamar Jackson to the 2 running backs. All right, so that's the bottom tier. We got in the 7 spot, Matt Ryan, in the 8 spot, Cam Newton, in the 9 spot, Shaun Alexander, in the 10 spot, the half MVP, Steve McNair. All right. Before we get into Lamar Jackson, let's just talk about AP versus LT because I think that's going to be the easier comp because they're both running backs.
Are we done? We're done with Ryan then. We're not even going to compare him to.
Well,
Jackson.
we put Lamar in a higher, like in the middle tier. We said Lamar was a middle at the beginning. So,
but Matty Ice fought his way out of the losers bracket. I mean,
okay.
yeah,
Do you want to give? Let's work out this middle tier and then see if Maddie can get into it. Can crack into it after we work it out. All right. So let's start with LaDainian Tomlinson and Adrian Peterson. What's your gut? What's the initial gut on that?
My gut is that it's so right off the rip. There's just a few things that I know. I know LT had the better single season, which has to be the MVP year, I assume. So if we go down that road, it's LT. Career wise, LT probably has more scoring, I would think. Probably a little bit more well-rounded between rushing and receiving, if I'm guessing, while AP is more of I'm guessing it's close, but more of the dominant, just like between the tackles runner, like pure rusher of the ball. My tilt is towards LT though.
So my tilt is towards LP as well. LT as well.
LP. We're gonna mash them up.
Let's do a mashup of them. Yeah.
You know the LaDainian Peterson?
Yeah. So I like how your voice changed when you did that. That was nice. What impression? What impression were you doing there, Casey?
It was just a generic dumb guy. Like, I don't know,
Okay. All right. Cool. So my tilt is toward LT as well, but what I'm realizing, like just being kind of introspective here, what I'm realizing about that tilt is that I'm very heavily influenced by how good he was in fantasy football when fantasy football was like just getting going. I think that was
LT,
like
you mean?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm definitely influenced by that because then he got like sort of like pinned into my mind as like just the greatest. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, well, like that's tilting my sort of gut feeling toward it. Is there what's the case for Adrian Peterson? So AP, his MVP year is 2012. He did lead in rushing yards. He had 2,097. He had 131.1 yards per game. That's a lot. He had 6 yards per attempt. AP did in the year that he led, and he had 348 total attempts over 16 games. So 6 yards per attempt on what I don't even know the math on that, but it's like it's over 20 attempts per game. So it sounds
he was a better rusher. He was a better
12,
rusher.
Yeah, 12 touchdowns. And then his receiving numbers are he had 40 receptions for 217 yards and 1 tutty. All right, so that's the AP just looking at the MVP year. The LaDainian Tomlinson MVP year, 1462 rushing yards, 18 touchdowns, 370 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he didn't really make up for too much on receiving over AP. He had maybe 100 more yards, but
in those particular years.
AP, yeah, just in the MVP years. So AP definitely had more all-purpose yards. He had more attempts too, but he also his average per attempt is crazy at 6. Like LT's was 4.3, and the best in his career is 5.2. 5.2 is really good. That's crazy. And LT did lead rushing yards the 2 following years after his MVP. So it's usually a quarterback's, like he almost had better years those years, but it's such a quarterback's award that he didn't get it in those years.
The individual year itself. I mean, I guess I've just been kind of going off of this anyway. That's
Adrian Peterson had a longer career. He has more totals. They both led rushing yards the same number of times.
I don't think he does have higher totals. I mean, in certain things for sure, but again, the receiving work helps a ton over the course of the career, because looking at the whole career, Adrian Peterson has 305 receptions. LT has over double that, 624. Same sort of story with receiving yards. AP has right under 2,500 at 2,474, and LT has 4,772. So
they're actually going to be super similar in total all-purpose yards or yards from scrimmage. LT might be a little higher. I'm just doing quick math.
LT is actually he's a little over 1,000 higher.
Okay.
AP has 17,392, and Tomlinson has 18,456, with 19 fewer fumbles. Peterson has 19, or Peterson has 19, and Tomlinson had never ever did.
Tomlinson has fewer touchdowns as well.
Does he?
I think so. Am I reading this right? He's 120 rushing touchdowns,
No, he has
and
more. He has quite a bit more. Tomlinson does.
no, sorry. Yeah, Tomlinson has more touchdowns. Is that what I said?
So I don't know what she said. That's I heard the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Tomlinson has quite a few more touchdowns.
Yeah.
To me, and honestly,
AP had a longer career, but
again,
a lot of hurt years for him.
Yeah, the main thing about AP, the only really thing over the course of the career, at least, taking it away from just the single season thing, AP had more rushing attempts, he had more rushing yards, and he did rush more effectively. 4.6 compared to 4.3 over the course of their career. So
yeah. I mean, AP is like maybe in the modern era of football, maybe one of the most effective rushers, like period.
definitely, he's the best. I don't think there's anybody even close.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's
that
a
is
crazy
not,
average yards per carry
he's
for
the
a
best.
high volume like toucher. You know what I mean? Like that's like
Right.
CMC type rushing, but
And
no
LT
real
is
receiving.
probably one of the only guys who even was a higher touch guy, honestly.
Right.
But I mean,
that said, I'm with you. The all-purpose yards and all-purpose and total touchdowns. LT has more rushing touchdowns than AP has. And that's not all on them. A lot of it comes down to like what do they use in the like 5-yard. What do their teams do in the 5-yard zone type of thing.
It's a piece of the puzzle though.
Yeah.
And you can tell the Chargers were like, whether we throw it or we run it, we're going to LT because that's the guy. Where I mean, we were a little bit older watching AP play. That was obviously the way with the Vikings too, but he
I was just trying not to let our nostalgia of being young give it to LT. You know what I mean? Because I think we tend to do that for sure.
These are the best two running backs in since 2000. I think we can say.
I think our guts were right though. LT is the better, and maybe
LT is the better guy.
Maybe we change the narrative. All right, so here's where it's going to be tough. Lamar Jackson versus Adrian Peterson. Lamar Jackson obviously not done playing football.
Right.
Lamar Jackson has more MVPs, but it is a quarterback award.
Wait, Lamar has
does he actually?
Lamar just has one.
Yep, you're right. Okay, so he doesn't have more.
Yeah,
he has more if he wins it this year, but he won't because this year it's going to be Brock Purdy.
Obviously, it's going to be.
It's done. It's a foregone conclusion.
This one's, I mean, just impossible, right? Like, how do you weigh these two against each other? I'll say my lean here is actually AP. Maybe it's the fact that here's what it is: we can project what Lamar will do for the rest of his career, but the margin of error for that is massive, right? We could project him to win 3 more MVPs.
So let's just use it where it is now.
Right. Then it's just gotta be AP then.
I agree.
If we're going off of what they've done, in my mind, it's AP.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So that means that we have this mid-tier correct. Let's revisit Matt Ryan. Do you think he has gut feeling? Do you think he has a chance at cracking into the next tier with a Lamar Jackson at the bottom of it, or should we just leave it?
I think that he has a chance to be above Lamar and no higher, probably though.
Okay, let's come back to it. Let's work out the top tier and come back to it then. All right, next up we got the top tier. Brady, Mahomes, Rodgers. Let's start here. I think Brady, Mahomes, Rodgers. Why isn't Peyton Manning in here? Oh man.
I don't know. I didn't make the list.
I done messed up.
Oh, so Steve McNair is now Peyton Manning and he's working his way up the list. Maybe we just do that last.
Yeah, so let's do this. We're gonna call a quick audible here, and we're gonna move this whole thing down. Steve McNair's no longer in this. We got Peyton Manning. We got Peyton Manning at that, and then what's that? They're like, what are the Colts? They're blue and white, right? Blue.
For everybody watching, there was a moment right before we started where John goes, "Oh, I do need another quarterback."
Yeah.
So, or I do need another player and to get 10.
Yeah.
So he threw in Steve McNair.
Hey, just so everybody knows, Steve McNair, not on the list. Peyton Manning, I was an oversight. I forgot about him. All right. So this top tier is Peyton, Mahomes, Rodgers, Peyton, Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady. Let me start here and feel out whether this feels right to you or not. I think that Brady and Peyton are 1 and 2 in no particular order, and Rodgers and Mahomes are 3 and 4 in no particular order. Do you feel right about that?
I feel fine about it. I think. I think that
Like prepared to do that?
I don't want to like
trying to move it
wanna,
along here a little bit.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. All right.
I
Now
don't want to
let's
leak the rest of the order. I think there's one particular matchup that's close, but it would leak what I feel about those two couples.
okay. Well, we're gonna get into the couplets now. All right. So Rodgers, Mahomes. What's your gut? We can only take them at this point in their career.
Yeah, man. At this point in their career, I don't know if Mahomes has seasons that are actually. Oh, sorry about that. I think I muted myself for a second. I think in this one, it will kind of matter who has the best season. Because if Mahomes has a better season already at this point in his career, then maybe the trajectory is better for him. So without projecting too far, I think you could make the argument Mahomes is better. Although, does Rodgers have like 3 or 4 MVPs? I think he does.
Rodgers has 3 MVPs and Mahomes has 2. So Rodgers has more MVPs.
I think Rodgers might have 4 actually.
I mean, I'm just reading what's on the list, right? Oh yeah, you're right. He has 4.
Yeah.
That's so. So Rodgers has 4. Mahomes has 2.
Not that that's the criteria, but
have twice as many. He has. Okay, so yeah, that's the criteria, but so that's one in the Rodgers column. How do you weigh that against twice as many Super Bowl rings that Mahomes has against Rodgers?
Interesting
in
point.
fewer years.
It probably.
Do you think those two things wash out or no?
It probably does something similar enough to wash out. Yeah, like we can throw away the change on that one because I think the change would still go to Rodgers, just so I'm not like making it up as I go along. But it's negligible difference probably at that point. I will say this: I have their stats pulled up now. The career touchdown to interception ratio is a lot better for Rodgers, which I didn't fully anticipate.
Yeah.
Rodgers is at 475 to 105, so big ass numbers first of all, but.
It's basically 4.7 to 1. Yeah.
Great quick math. I love that. Mahomes is at 218 to 63.
That's harder.
So I'll put it like this. Mahomes has fewer than half as many touchdowns while having more than half as many interceptions. So I know automatically.
Yeah.
Not as good there. And actually the rushing attempts are not that far off from like a trajectory.
Yeah, Mahomes doesn't actually rush that much because he's more of a play extender.
And Rodgers scoots around. I mean, he's been a mobile guy for his career.
So this is the first pairing where we can use our own like eye test bias very well. Like, yes, we watched LT and AP, but we were very different ages then, so we don't trust our own eyes, right? Whereas this one we can use it a little bit better. How much do you want to? I because we haven't been able to use it to this point, I don't want to make it a huge part of the criteria. But eye test, what do you feel about these two guys? To me, eye test goes to Mahomes.
Ooh.
Really? You're not sure about
eye test is tight, honestly.
Okay.
Because if you're talking 2023 Mahomes versus 2023 Rodgers, the eye test goes to Mahomes. Yes, maybe at least. But prime Rodgers moving around, he did a lot of Mahomes-esque stuff. While Mahomes probably has I'd give him the edge on the flashy plays.
I was watching less football during prime Rodgers years.
Rodgers more consistent.
But two of Rodgers' MVPs are in 2020 and 2021, man. Like, what are we talking about when we say prime Rodgers years? That's like 2 years, like 2, 3.
His prime was a decade, like that's the whole thing. Is like that's a lot of football.
That's where again, it's hard to we don't want to project too much, but that's kind of what we're tracking toward with Mahomes as well, is that he's going to have a prime of about a decade and maybe,
Is this year in his prime? This year's been pretty salty.
It's been a little bit shakier than you'd like to see, but he's still, I think statistically, what's he look like statistically?
I think there's
my lean horrible statistically.
I know we're trying to move it along. My lean here is towards Rodgers.
Mine is as well.
Because I think we've seen enough that the boat is rocky right now for Mahomes, where, in having to navigate the contract situation and things like that. Certain stars leaving. They're still a fine football team. They'll go to the playoffs, but they're dropping down from that top spot that they've always been in. I think most people would agree. Rodgers already navigated that portion of his career. We know Rodgers could do stuff with nothing else. I mean, sure, he had Devontae. Even just last year, where he had nobody. I mean, they had like a heroic comeback at the end of the season. I don't think Mahomes has that in him. If you also got rid of Kelsey, like the equivalent of his Devontae Adams, I think we have enough evidence to say the Chiefs just kind of fold compared to what the Packers did in that same scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I still think when he has the Tyreek years, they're probably still pretty good, even if Kelsey wasn't there. But okay, so we got that coupling. Let's talk Manning versus Brady. So Brady, the far and away GOAT, but this is the MVP rankings. Manning has 5 MVPs. Brady only has, is it 3? Yeah, he only has 3. Manning's got 5, so he's got 2 more.
Well, he's got a half one in there somewhere.
Yeah, he's got, I guess, 4.5 is what it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, he has 4.5. So he has 4.5 to 3. So 50% more than Tom Brady. And that the range on that is 2003 to 2013. So his MVP bookends are 10 years apart. Tom Brady's are also 10 years apart. So,
wow.
Yeah. Give me your gut check on these two.
My gut's not close. My gut is Brady, honestly. My gut is
also not close, and my gut is also Brady.
Peyton,
the rings and then rings with a different team is too much. It's too much, dude.
When did Brady come into the league? Are you looking at that right now?
His first MVP was in 2007. I don't know when he was drafted.
Okay.
He came into the league in 2000. He played for 22 years.
Brady.
Yeah.
And Manning, did he come in the year before that is all? I think Peyton Manning is coming into the league a little earlier.
Yeah, he was 98 to 2015.
2 years
17
earlier.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like, I mean, I'm kind of wrong, I guess, about it, but maybe it just took a while actually for Brady to emerge. Now that I think about it, because it feels like
Manning was hotter quicker.
Peyton won at least some of his MVPs, the extra MVPs, let's say. While the competition may have been less fierce at the quarterback position, you're still dealing with a lot of teams kind of flirting with the old
years,
school version of football more.
In 2003, when he split it with Steve McNair, let me tell you the MVPs the years before that. Rich Gannon, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner, Terrell Davis, right? So that was back more in the running back era of football, where the other freaking best quarterback was Kurt the Wobbler Warner. So yeah, I hear you.
That's
let me put it this way. Brady has like all-time passing yards, all-time passing tutties, 6 like let's just not say Brady's not number 1. Let's just kind of leave it there.
Tom Brady has 90 more passing touchdowns in his career. Sure, he played a lot longer.
Yeah.
But
all right. So I think you
matters.
feel a certain kind of way about the Rodgers versus Manning matchup, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah, I think that's close. I think that's worth taking a look at, actually. More than I think either of the other two were. I think that's the closest one.
Okay. What's your lean?
Honestly, my initial lean is that I realize I'm biased there towards Rodgers.
Why?
Just
are you biased?
Recency for sure. Kind of more into the game, more like intellectually into the game.
Yeah.
And no more comparable stats during his time compared to Peyton. Like I didn't like that stuff with Peyton Manning at the beginning of his career. I mean, that we were kids then. So
yeah,
watching him in lifetime was a little bit different.
I'm going to give the nod to Peyton here on something, like one thing that Aaron Rodgers is also good at, but quarterbacks weren't expected to do before Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning kind of changed the quarterback position to like someone who is supposed to make decisions at the line of scrimmage. Someone who is supposed to read the defense, supposed to be a second offensive coordinator out there. Quarterbacks didn't really do that before him, and now they do. And so Aaron Rodgers did that too. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers can't, but Aaron Rodgers did it in an era where quarterbacks do it, because
Peyton Manning is the first example of that I can think of, at least. I'm pretty sure he is the first good example of that. while Aaron Rodgers is probably the best ever example of that. If I'm that's how
He's
I
very
think
good at
about
making line reads. I mean,
it. Minus
Peyton was
maybe
it's easy to win a split test, right? Like Peyton was the model of that. And then it's like,
right.
okay, well, there's the model. Can I do better than that?
Yeah, Rodgers. Yeah, exactly. Rodgers had the benefit of watching Peyton do it for sure. But like, do you take that away from? You can't really hold it against the guy. What time
that he was younger? He was born. He was born later. Yeah.
Right.
I hear you.
I think you can hold it against him. What competition they went up against? Same
What
way.
do
I'm not trying
you?
to talk out of both sides of my mouth here, but
Here's the things that I weigh. I lean Peyton for these 2 reasons: 2 Super Bowl rings to 1, 5 MVPs to 4, 4.5 MVPs, I guess, to 4.
man.
So
both had
can
one
you give me
Super
an
Bowl
on paper
MVP,
reason for
so-
Rodgers?
Yeah, much better touchdown to interception ratio. That's a big one, but that might not do, and better rushing numbers. Definitely. I mean, that's a big difference.
They're
there.
exactly the same in career yards per attempt.
Right. But
They're-
Rodgers had almost twice as many. No, they can't be the same in yards per attempt. That's false. Rushing yards? Oh, passing yards per
passing.
Sorry, I was talking about rushing, so you confused me. I was going to say,
Yeah.
there's no way, man.
Rodgers has a 6.2 touchdown percentage. Manning has a 5.7 touchdown percentage. I'm trying to
Yeah, they
figure
both
out,
are at
I'm trying to find a career
7.7.
stat. All right. So I think career stats nod goes to Rodgers. MVPs and Super Bowls nod goes to Peyton.
Well, Peyton had more passing yards and more passing touchdowns. Played more games, but he does have those. Well, like I said, Rodgers has the better like efficiency metrics.
This one seems very tough. I think we're just gonna have a same maker here, and the same maker is gonna be you.
And the rushing. I think I'll give it
because for every argument for one, there's an argument for another so far.
I agree. I think this is the tightest one. I think this is the tightest point on the entire thing. But I'm gonna go with Peyton. Let's give Peyton the benefit of the doubt and say that it's not over because Rodgers could still
Rodgers
on some.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's look at the
Rodgers court.
Let's look at the edges of the different tiers. LT versus Mahomes. Do you think LT deserves to pass Mahomes? Quick gut check on this.
Actually, maybe.
Oh boy. Okay. Give me your case.
LT has done it so much longer. We can only look at kind of what they have done. But I'm fine if we leave it too. We can leave it.
Okay. Jackson versus Ryan. I mean, we can revisit this unless we take too much time.
That's
on
the
Lamar
best.
Jackson
That's the one that's.
All right, Matt Ryan versus Lamar Jackson, and I think this feels right that the 2 running backs are in the 5 to 6 spot. It is kind of a quarterback's award. Probably the more elite quarterbacks deserve the top 4 spots. Let's talk about Matt Ryan versus Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Are you leaning Ryan? Let's just start there. It sounds like you're leaning Matt Ryan.
I mean, Matt Ryan has a much larger body of work. You know, it's so much easier to know what you had with Matt Ryan. While Lamar, you still do have to project quite a bit. You know, that's a big case for it. I mean, I'll tell you how many. Okay, how about this? Matt Ryan has almost 8,500 passing attempts in the NFL in his career. Do you have even a ballpark idea of where Lamar is compared to that?
Passing attempts?
Passing attempts. Matt Ryan, 8,500.
Lamar Jackson, maybe not. I wouldn't even think like maybe 1,000. I don't know. Not that many.
Yeah, 1,600. He's a 1,600. Like it's
okay.
Just body of work so massively in favor of Ryan. It's hard to do straight across comparisons.
So where are we at on like yards per attempt? Is there or do efficiency stats favor Lamar?
Touchdown percentage does favor Lamar. The ratio for touchdowns to interceptions is actually that's in Lamar's favor too. Okay, I think I'm heating up to Lamar being the victor here because if Matt Ryan's not clearly the better passer in every way, the argument kind of falls apart.
Right, because
so
Lamar
I'll go Lamar.
Lamar's an incredible rusher. All right, Lamar, I'm good there too. Do you want to revisit LT versus Mahomes?
Let's do it for funsies. Okay. Come on.
Give me the case for LT. We need a paper. This is hard. We have to do a quarterback versus running back here. So give me the paper case for for LT.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me get a little handy dandy.
First of all, is there a
statistic
let me give a non-paper case. A non-paper case here is that LT is maybe the best running back in this century. Like
I
Adrian
would not
Peterson
even argue that. Yeah, he
Adrian
is.
Peterson's probably the best rusher in this century, but LT's probably the best running back in this century.
Both of those
That's
things are
something.
true.
That's
I agree
something.
with
And
both of those.
in the era of passing football, LT's the best running back. And I don't know how he would have held up against the like legends of the kind of 80s and 90s, but yeah, there's like a non-paper case for him. A non-paper case for Pat Mahomes is another guy who's maybe not revolutionized the quarterback position, but eye test, we've seen him do stuff that we're like, what is this? He's throwing no look passes. He's throwing, with his freaking left hand. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, man. So I couldn't find anything to even try to compare these two. Nobody has ever thought to do a comparison to these, weirdly enough.
What does your gut say? Does your gut give it to LT?
My gut says that, LT is the best at his position in this century. Mahomes is not. Mahomes is more important position, but has he really done more for the team?
Right.
It's a matter of, I think here's the difference. How much do you weigh the Super Bowls? Because
I do for quarterback. We've talked about this off camera. The quarterbacks get that, but like the running backs, like LT doesn't get really knocked for not having Super Bowls. You know what I mean? It's like
we impact the game less. Yeah.
It's wins are quarterback stat. So in that sense, because of that, I do weight the fact that he's a quarterback as like part of the criteria in his favor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it's a tough one.
Because he can impact the game more.
This is weirdly the toughest one. LT's probably the only guy on this list who can compete with the cool factor of Mahomes too.
Right.
So like, these guys are firing on all cylinders every which way here. I guess I will lean Mahomes.
Okay.
At the end of the day,
I was also
leaning
Mahomes. I don't know if you sensed it, but I was also leaning Mahomes.
Yeah, it felt like that's where we were always going to land. But let's see how Mahomes does have more touchdowns in his career, which obviously he's a quarterback, but like it's once he hits the point where he starts passing certain like scoring, I mean, LT's big thing is he scored so much, right? And Mahomes, sure, he's played a different position where they score all the time, but at the end of his career, I think we would end up with him ahead of LT. So let's go ahead and just project that he ends up. This is the only guy I feel like we have to project, because if it was truly based off of just what they've done, that's where I think there's actually a good argument to where Mahomes drops below the those two running backs, because I think they're a pair. Honestly, we already split hairs to get the order of the running backs. So I think Mahomes could drop below them, but if we're projecting anything reasonable, just anything but a complete collapse from Mahomes, he's going to end up in that top 4.
Yep. Okay. So the final ranked list is Tom Brady. 1 of NFL MVPs is 1, Tom Brady. 2, Peyton Manning. 3, Aaron Rodgers. 4, Patrick Mahomes. 5, LaDainian Tomlinson. 6, Adrian Peterson. 7, Lamar Jackson. 8, Matt Ryan. 9, Cam Newton. And 10, Shaun Alexander. Casey, this is good. This is a good time. I'm glad. I like where we landed. It's time to move into some speed rounds, buddy. You ready?
Speed round. Let's do it.
Speed round numero uno is going to be. Sorry, I wrote it down. I have to read it. Speed round numero uno. Let's rank NFL teams' best quarterback of all time. Ready to go?
Let's do it. Speed round, best quarterback of all time.
First team, San Francisco 49ers.
Shit. Okay.
Gotta be. Joe Cool has to be the favorite, right?
Joe Cool is the favorite. I mean, he's so much the favorite. I'm having a hard time even building a case against him.
Let me build a case. Let me build a case. All right. I get it. Joe Cool's got your 4. He's got your 4 Super Bowl rings. It's a big deal. But my boy Steve Young was out there running around with his helmet off. He was out there lowering his shoulder into linebackers. He was out there running a 4.6 40. I mean, getting concussions, winning 2 Super Bowls. Like this guy was doing some stuff. Without the concussion. I mean, part of that was he got the concussions because he did all that. But let's project a little. Without the concussions, like let's live on narrative street. Maybe he does get those 2 extra Super Bowls. I'm just saying.
Man, I don't know.
I not enough. Not enough for you. Not enough for you.
I'm looking at I found a thing to show me straight up comparison here. This says Young had 3 rings because he probably had one as a backup. He probably had one as a backup.
Oh yeah.
Montana won one, right?
Yeah. Do we count that?
Wait, even then though, Montana had 4. So
Montana has 4. Yeah.
They only have 5 total as a team. So
Montana must have won one as a backup.
He didn't win one with the Chiefs, right? I'm not crazy because he did go to the Chiefs. Either way, I think it's clear Young got some as he has some crossover there.
Maybe he had 2 as a backup.
Yeah, it could be. That's what makes more sense to me. Unless I'm forgetting that Montana won one with Kansas City,
it's just the vibe. It's just okay. If you think that the Steve Young like F the defense, I'm going to run him over vibe. The Steve Young F the defense, run him over like vibe is worth it. Then you like Steve Young, but I mean Joe Cool's got to be the better passer.
Joe Montana is the man. It's you want to so like I don't know what this night I'm using.
Or let me just throw this out there. Maybe there's only one answer. Maybe there's only one correct answer to who the best 49ers quarterback of all time is, and that is the GOAT Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy
is
the best quarterback the 49ers have ever had.
And also the best by like default, also the best quarterback of all time. Because the second best quarterback of all time is also a 49er.
Joe Montana.
Right.
And so is the third, Steve Young. Moving on. Next team.
Then Tom Brady in 4th. Next team, Dallas Cowboys. Who you feeling right off the rip? I can tell you 2, but who you feeling? Who comes to mind?
Right off the rip, who comes to mind honestly is Rodgers Staubach.
Where do you throw Aikman then?
Aikman surprised the crap out of me when I know on another video where I looked up Steve Aikman compared to Tony Romo, and I was surprised.
I don't even know who Steve Aikman is.
Did I say Steve Aikman?
Yeah, we were talking about Steve Young. I get it.
Yeah, Troy Aikman versus Tony Romo surprised the hell out of me when I looked at them side by side, and I think
Troy's good. And what did he win? 3 rings, maybe 2. Maybe it's 2, but
Troy I think won 2. I think it's 2. Either way, that's like the only argument you have against Romo. Romo stat collected, and he was in that era a little bit more. But I mean, extrapolate
where do you throw Dak in this whole thing? Do you throw Dak below? Nowhere. Okay.
Absolutely nowhere.
Okay.
Nowhere at all.
The Cowboys are probably the most there's probably the most people in the conversation for the Cowboys. So you got Staubach, Romo,
probably,
and Aikman. What are you feeling? We got to go gut here. We can't do too much stat hunting here.
Yeah, honestly, Staubach feels like the guy. If you ask Cowboys fans who were around through all the eras,
right? How many of them are there?
Feels like the guy who they would say, "Maybe call me crazy," but I think it might be. I think I think all of them might have been trying to chase down Staubach. Personally, my personal thing would be Troy, but
all right.
Let me tell you this. I was 7 years old.
Well, let me tell you this. We have one Dallas Cowboys fan who watches our show live because we hate the Cowboys. I don't know why this person takes this abuse. And that person said, Troy, duh. I quote, Troy, duh. So it's Troy Aikman.
I love me some Troy. I love Troy. Troy is my personal favorite of them.
It's a great name, too. You know what I mean? Like,
who's the better commentator?
Aikman or Romo?
Troy or Tony? Yeah.
I loved early Tony. Now it kind of just seems like he's freaking halfway through the bottle every time.
I think I like that Tony better.
Okay. All right. Then it's Tony, man. Then it's Tony. All right. Next team, Steelers.
Have we actually landed on an actual answer for any of these teams so far? Doesn't matter.
I think Troy Aikman is the answer, buddy. Yeah.
Steelers. Terry Bradshaw stands out as a contender. Big Ben,
Big Ben's got to be the other.
Big time. Obviously going to have better stats, but who has more rings? How many did Terry win?
4 rings for the original TB12.
So many.
You got. I got to go TB. I got to go TB on this one.
Ben had 1, right? That's it. Am I wrong?
I think
he only had 1.
Let's say 2. Let's say 2. It's still only half as many.
2. It's got to be TB.
All right.
I'm Terry Bradshaw. Let's go. We can't just give it to all the most recent guys. We handed it to Troy Aikman.
On recency bias.
Stats be damned. Recency bias would have been Romo, honestly, but yeah, I mean, stats be damned. We're going off.
Yeah,
here.
but
Terry Bradshaw has better vibes than Big Ben.
Romo's like the ultimate disappointing quarterback who just never gets you past the point you need to get in the playoffs. And Aikman won some rings. So, all right, next team, the Colts.
The Colts.
Peyton, I mean, we just talked about Peyton Manning. Got to be the favorite here.
Peyton Manning, right? I mean, I guess you're
only one guy I can think of that could possibly have a case against him is Johnny Unitas. That's tough because stats are all going to go to Peyton. Johnny U's kind of the first guy to do anything else. So what do we want to do here? Do we give him Johnny U?
I love Johnny U, but it's Peyton Manning. It has to be Peyton Manning. I came to the support of Johnny Unitas in a recent video, I think, or maybe it was off camera. I was just telling you, I didn't like the shade at him, but I love Johnny U. Peyton Manning's the better quarterback. What are we doing out here?
All right, last team. Oldest team in the NFL, Green Bay Packers. Go.
We just talked about Aaron Rodgers, obvious contender.
Mr. Favre's got to be in there, right?
Favre leading the league in government funding stolen.
Yep, we're leading the league in dick pics.
Yeah, that too. Leading the league in Wrangler jeans.
Yep. Brett Favre, best quarterback the Minnesota Vikings have ever had in only 1 year of play, so that's great.
Is that true?
Fran Tarkenton's probably what most people say, but
yeah.
Honestly, being a Vikings fan the Favre year was like, wow, we're good. This is nice.
A little Dante Culpepper action.
Yeah. Nah, I don't know, man. It was still the Favre year was nice. The Culpepper years were just always Culpepper years were good, but they were just always so disappoinning.
Believe you had Steve McNair as well in a Brett Favrean.
We had Warren Moon too, dude.
Well.
We've had a lot of people in like the like latter.
Oh, they're washed up.
Careers.
They're washed up. We'll take them.
Yeah,
they're
washed up. Sounds like a Viking.
You want to hear my hot? We almost did an episode on a different subject today. Where's Russell Wilson going to go next year? Now that they've benched him in Denver, maybe my leading vote right now is Minnesota. That would be kind of fun.
That sounds about right. If we can't keep Kirk, yes. But we digress. Yeah. We digress. There's one other guy we need to talk about for the Packers. So we got Favre, we got Aaron Rodgers. We got to talk about Bart Starr. Where does he land?
Below. I mean, we rejected Staubach so fast. I feel like Bart Starr is lesser. Maybe that's me.
He's got a great name though. I mean,
it's
so who is it for you? So who is it for you then? It's got to be Rodgers then.
I think it is. I like Brett Favre's swag, but I like Aaron's too. Meanwhile, Aaron is the better football player, right? Is anybody really?
Aaron's iconic, honestly. I wish Aaron was the same age as Peyton Manning so that he could be more iconic. You know what I mean? Because he kind of came in the era of the passer. So people were like, yeah, this is how quarterbacks are supposed to play now. But I wish he was just a little older because he would be incredibly iconic if he were. If he played at the same time as Favre, get out of here. If his prime was at the same time as Favre, he did play. He's backed him up for a few years. But
he's benefited from the fact that the league turned more into a passing league kind of before he arrived.
Sure.
Or as he arrived or whatever. So,
I mean, any Brett Favre run team, let me tell you something. Any Brett Favre run team, the league is a passing league. He's slinging that ball around, dude.
Bro, I love Brett Favre in a certain certain team style. I like the attitude. It's Brett Favre for his time was maybe the best representative of what football should be, right? Just like ground, like just rough and tumble.
He's got more rings than Rodgers, probably. I think he's got 2.
That checks out, right? Yeah, more than Rodgers.
Rodgers is better. That's the answer.
Rodgers is better.
Okay, so here's how the somebody who comments on this video is going to win money. I can't tell you how until the end.
Who is it? Who's it going to be?
Well, now it's the end, so I can tell you how. We have to edit that back into the beginning. Get it? I forgot to say it at the beginning. Here's how somebody wins money. Of all the people we picked, we are going to give away $5 for the total number of vowels in their name. $5 for every single vowel in their name. So Brock Purdy has 2 vowels. What do we do with this Y? We know it's A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y. What times is it the Y? We never learned that. We know it's sometimes. We don't know what times. What do you want to do with Y? Is it a vowel or a consonant? Let's not figure out when.
How could you? Y feels more like it's a vowel to me.
Okay.
Because imagine replacing it with a.
I think what it is when it makes the E sound, it's a vowel, and when it makes the Y sound, it's a consonant. So
right, of course.
in Purdy,
yeah.
In Purdy, it would be a vowel. So we got 3 vowels in Brock Purdy. We got Troy. Troy. The Y is not a vowel in that case. So Troy Aikman. So at 1, 2, 3, 4 vowels in Troy Aikman. So 6 total vowels. Terry Bradshaw has 1, 2, 3, 4 vowels. So 10 total vowels. Peyton Manning has 1, 2, 3, 4 total vowels. So 14 total vowels. Aaron Rodgers. He's really bringing it down for this game, really holding it down. There was a reason I said, let's give it to Aaron instead of Favre.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vowels for 19 total vowels. Let's round it up to a clean 20 and say somebody who comments on this video is going to win $100. Just comment anything. Who's your favorite quarterback of all time? Doesn't have to be the best, just has to be your favorite. $100 hairs. Party. All right. Next speed round. That was better. Usually we are not fast on the speed rounds, and we were slightly faster.
Try my best out here.
The only other speed round where we've been fast is the one where I actually timed you and made you give. All right. Here's how we're going to run this one. The next speed round is we're going to react. Let me say it right. Let's react to NFL players' hairstyles. Let's grade NFL players' hairstyles.
All right.
So we're going to go through some hairstyles. We're going to go through some hairstyles.
Do you have Mahomes in here? I mean,
the initial
he started a national trend.
The initial thing is just the reaction. Okay. So we're going to react first. And then after we react at the end, I'm going to give it like a 1, 2, 3, and we're both going to say our grade. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody watching this video is going to win some money, but I can't tell you how or how much until the end. So first up, you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
The Clay Matthews lion's mane. Ooh. I picked this pose on purpose because it's just, look at his eyes.
Are we sure he wasn't on the Denver Broncos during this? Because he looks like a majestic horse.
He's doing like one of these, like he's doing a hair commercial right now, man.
That is beautiful. I feel secure enough in my sexuality to say that is beautiful.
Okay, do you have a grade for him? This is A through F standard school grades.
I mean, grading it.
Wait, hold on to it. Don't say it, but do you have it?
Okay. I mean, I'm trying to find the right grounding agent here. This could be a wild thing, but I think I know where I'm going to go. Yeah.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, A.
B+. Okay. Oh, we're not doing pluses, minuses. Okay. I was good. I was on the B+, A- border. So let's go A-. I feel like that's already. You're
going to give minuses and pluses? All right. No. Whole grades. No minuses and pluses.
You said standard school gradings, John.
Okay, fine. A+ was mine.
Okay. So I said B+.
You said B+.
So A. He's an A. Just give him a damn A.
Next up. Next up, we got the hairdo isn't crazy, but the colors are.
Man,
we got a lot of colors. I count 3 different colors of hair, 4 if you count the color of his beard, which I think is his actual hair color.
Dang. Okay, I made it bigger so we can see it. This is what color is that? Said the colorblind guy to
on
his
the
friend.
Top. It looks like we've got a bluish purple, and
is
then
it the right blue for the Chargers. Not even. Close,
it is
right?
not. It is. It is. It's more Vikings. It's a lot more Vikings and Ravensy. If we're being honest, it's purple. Then on the side we got like just a hard orange that pretty much matches the orange behind him on the field there.
I didn't even notice that. I thought that was like just a glare on his head.
And then we got some zigzags with red. And then his beard zigzags. That's cool. Chargers, Lightning. That's okay. That's something. It's
Okay.
not nothing. It's
The
not
orange
nothing.
and purple, right? I mean, is he a Bronco too? All these guys should have been Broncos. They
He's
missed their...
orange, purple, red, and black if you count his actual natural hair color in his beard here.
Well, he didn't count it, so why should we? Okay. Do you have your grade on this?
I have my grade on this one.
All right.
1, 2, 3, B.
D plus.
Ooh, okay. All right. You're not a fan. You're not a fan of the colors.
We're really torn here.
You know what? I get it because you're like, hey, man, colors are cool, but I can't see them. So,
well, like match the team colors.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, like why wasn't he dark blue?
That's the main gripe I have here.
Right. Okay.
Also, I mean, not a huge fan of the design either. I mean, it's too much. It's too much.
You don't like the lightning bolts for the Chargers?
It's I mean, if it's gonna be for the Chargers, make it Chargers colors. You lose points that you would have gotten with the lightning bolts because it doesn't match. So
okay,
that's my take on it. So wait, D plus to B, so that's like a C-ish.
Yeah,
C-ish. So we got an A for Clay Matthews, a C for that dog. I don't know his name.
I deleted it now and I can't remember.
Random
Chargers offensive lineman. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we've got Tracy Porter from the Saints with the Lombardi Trophy shaved in after they won.
Dang.
This is clean, dude. Let me just say this. This is clean.
I don't hate this.
I also do not hate it. Do you have a grade for it?
I have. Oops, that didn't work how I expected it to. I don't yet. Let me think.
This is
okay. I do.
After winning, this is so clean. I think
I do have a grade for this.
1, 2, 3, A.
A minus. Okay. A.
You're in on A. All right.
I mean, if we were going back to him versus Clay, it's tight. It's real tight. I think this guy even gets the nod because I said B plus on Clay. I think that's.
I mean, yeah. I think that idea is like. I like it. I like it.
It's dope. Also, that works really well on him, better than anybody else probably. But it could work on just about anyone. Clay's,
it's universal. No, not everybody can.
If that dude tried to rock Clay Matthews' hair, would not work. It doesn't have the same crossover effect.
All right. Next,
for that reason, I'm out.
And for that reason, Casey is out. Next up, we got just the down to the butt ponytail beard. What is this guy's name even?
Oh, that's a
DeMonto Pico.
Pecco, yeah, that's.
I mean, it's a lot of hair. That's a lot of hair.
Yeah.
That's my initial reaction to it. What do you think that looks like without the skull cap on? That's just crazy.
It's wild. How does he fit a helmet on his head? I mean, he can't without the skull cap, obviously.
Right. I'm cool. I'm cool on it. I don't love it. It needs more.
I'm okay with it. I'm in with it. It's very similar to like Clay. We didn't say Clay's need more. It was both very natural.
Yeah, but Clay's is just like it's not nice. Like Clay's is just so naturally like nice. You know what I mean?
Well, some people think this is nice too. You know, I mean, I don't.
It's a little raggedy. I think.
I wish we had a lot closer image of Clay. If I could see, I mean, if I could tell it was like knotted and stuff, then sure, maybe I'm with you. But like from here, I'm like, it looks kind of frizzy. It just looks frizzy to me. I have a grade.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, C minus.
B. Okay.
It
all works out. He's like a C plus. He's like a C plus.
Yeah.
Which is above whoever we were at on C. The dude with all the crazy colors. That feels right to me. He edged out that guy.
I like the crazy colors.
I did not. I was hard against crazy colors.
You were hard no on the crazy colors.
Crazy colors could use a little more frizzy hair, and I would have been fine with it. You know, like just regular frizzy hair.
All right, next up, we got the last real weird one. I think this is a mullet that is completely bald in the front and long in the back. He took party in the front or party in the back, business in the front, party in the back to a whole other level. He's like 100% business in the front, nothing but business.
And then the party almost never stops.
The party seems like it goes all the way down his neck and into his back.
I'm emotionally moved.
You know what? He definitely gets points for uniqueness. No one else has hair like this. Like the color thing, other people could think to do that. Even the shaving, the Lombardi trophy, Clay just had like really long hair. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But this is like a unique idea. Like no one else has ever had this idea. And he gets points for that in my book.
There's probably a reason for such things.
Yeah, no, look, it's not good. It's not a good hairdo. I wouldn't want to walk around with this. But he definitely gets points for coming up with an idea that no one else has done.
Okay.
All right. All right. Do you have a grade?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. B minus.
C minus.
Okay. Yeah, I mean we're
Just like a
not
C
too
plus.
far off. We're not too far
Like a
off.
C plus. Again, beats out Crazy Colors, and I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Down with that. He ends up right about the same spot as his teammate there in Pecco. They were probably
right.
Bengals at the same time.
Last one. We're bookending this with icons, my friend.
Ooh.
Another iconic hair man. And this is a great shot of it too. This is a great shot of it.
And completely real also.
Yeah. Great shot of it. The man who took a $1 million insurance policy out on his hair, Mr. Troy Polamalu. I mean, I've already got a grade. I've already thought about how I would grade Troy Polamalu's hair. That's already happened in my life. Do you have a grade?
I think I do.
All right. 1, 2, 3, A.
A.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. That was the highest one we had. Yeah. Oh, wait. No, wait.
I graded Clay an A+.
How did we grade the Lombardi though? Because I said A on that one as well.
I think I also graded that no, we both graded that an A.
So those two are the top.
Yes. So this is how you
Clay got edged out. Clay was third.
Clay was like an A-. So this is how you win money if you're commenting this. Every one that Casey and I agreed on equals $25 for somebody who comments on this video and tells us which hairdo they like the most. That means $50. We agreed on 2 of them. That's $50. So $50 to someone who comments on this video and tells us which hairstyle they liked the most. That's the speed round, Casey. And that is the pot. Feeling good? Feeling ready to get out?
Excellent. Feeling ready to get out, get in, get wherever I need to be.
All right. This is Triple Cross Podcast. We give you money for commenting on the video. So hop in the comments on this YouTube video and comment. We also give money to our live viewers who watch the show live on playback. So playback.tv/Triple Cross. There's a link to that in the description. The All Sports Playback. We're about to head over there right now for an after party. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you're on YouTube. If you're listening on audio, follow the show and leave us a rating and review. And we'll see you next week. Peace.